Hello and welcome back to my channel. Before we get into it, I just thought I would say thank you for all of the love that I've been getting. I was incredibly nervous and anxious on topic about doing this for many reasons, probably all the same reasons that other people have put off doing this. So thank you for all of your love and support. If you're new or if you've just found me, same thing, please do subscribe and give this video a like if it's something that you have found helpful, because I'm dubious. And the reason I'm dubious is because we're talking about anxiety, specifically generalized anxiety disorder, because there are many different types of anxiety, ranging from generalized anxiety disorder to PTSD and kind of all the bits in between. But today I'm going to talk about the things that I have found helpful in coping with anxiety. Let's get started. Can't speak. Let's get started. So, number one is allowing myself to worry, but at specific times in the day. I know that sounds a bit mad. Why would I give myself a specific amount of time to worry and be anxious? Surely the goal is to not be anxious and worried at all. It is, but let's be realistic. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. It's just how it is. And everybody has an amount of anxiety or stress and worry in their life, and that's normal. Healthy stress, obviously, but it's that unhelpful stress and that unhelpful anxiety which is really a big hindrance on everyday life. So what I do is I allow myself an allotted half an hour of my day to worry. So if there's anything that pops into my head outside of, ooh, not the TV flying. If there's anything that pops into your head outside of that half an hour slot, jot it down. Get it out of your head so you can kind of almost forget about it. I know it's quite hard. You jot it down, it's there. It's in a separate little book full of worries. And the reason that I like doing it in a book is because when you've solved that worry, or it no longer is a problem for you, you can cross it out. And the reason why I find that helpful is because once you've crossed it out, you've moved on. And it's a visual thing. You can look and you can say, wow, oh my God, I dealt with like 7 worries this week that I don't need to worry about anymore. It's done. It doesn't need to feed this anxiety, which is already big enough. Quite frankly, it does not need help. So that is kind of habit number 1 that I've picked up that I found helpful. Number 2 is just as important, and that is exercise. And I'm not talking about 4 hours in the gym every day, swimming, Pilates, yoga, whatever. If that floats your boat, crack on, hun. I'm talking about just generally getting out and moving. I have 2 forms of exercise that I rely on quite regularly. One of them is walking, not running. I know running is helpful for a lot of people. It's just not for me, and that's okay. But I like walking, long distance walking more specifically. It gives me time to zone out. I suppose it's my way of meditation, because I've tried meditation. It is not for me. Granted, I tried it on a work course surrounded by 20 strangers and we all had to close our eyes and they played some music. It was a bit weird. Maybe I should give it another go. Dunno. If you've got any suggestions for helpful meditation apps or courses, please let me know in the comments, because I would be open to trying it again. I've gone off topic. So for me, walking is my meditation. It is my time where I just zone out. But that ties into something else that I use as a coping mechanism. And the other form of exercise that I use is dance classes. And now I am not a professional dancer. I don't do tap, modern, ballet, nah. I'm talking about aerobic dance classes. So kind of like Zumba, but a bit not. And the woman whose class I go to is fabulous. I love her dearly. She is so positive, and you kind of leave just feeling that bit more uplifted. And I make an effort to go, even when I feel rubbish and I don't want to get out of bed. It would be so easy to go, no, I don't feel like going today. Actually, I'm going to just sit and wallow. That's not helpful. It's finding that motivation to get out, and by, I think, allowing other people in on your journey and your coping mechanisms and your kind of management plan, I suppose, for dealing with your anxiety, that is helpful. Because if I'm having a day when I'm on that sofa and I'm like, I don't want to go. Megan will come along and go, you should go. And then I feel guilty and then I go. So that helps. Number 3, which I briefly touched on with the walking, is finding time to relax. So when I go for my walks, I will listen to a podcast or I will listen to music. And those are 2 things that help me really zone out. Therefore, reducing the worrying that I'm doing and allowing me to save up those worries for the worry time. All kinds of podcasts help. It's find something that you're interested in. I've tried a few. One that I really enjoyed is a really old podcast, actually. It's by Caustic Soda. I listen to that all the time because it's interesting, and they're hour-long episodes, and you get engrossed and you kind of join in the conversation in your head, or at least I do. I'm not sure if that leads on to a different problem for me, but hey, sorry, I've written them all down so I don't forget because my memory is shocking. Yeah, another one is talking, and I know that is the hardest one. When somebody says to you, but why? Why are you anxious? What are you worrying about? And you can't answer them. That just makes it worse. So it's the helpful talking. It's the when you do know what is worrying you because you've written it down and you've thought about it in your worry time. That's the time when you talk about it, or at least for me. Anyway, again, this is another disclaimer. These are all things that help me. I'm not saying they will help you 100%. I'm hoping they do. I really am, because it's taken me 4 years to find things that help me cope. Some of these I found a lot earlier on in my journey. Some of those are a recent addition, but they work. And that is key for me. Yeah, talking. I talk about everything. There is a reason that I have a channel dedicated to just talking to a camera, because it's what I do best. I will just verbally just blur at people about everything and anything. I don't care. I have no filter. Nothing is a secret. This is my life. Take it or leave it, kind of thing. So talking is really, really helpful for me. If you don't feel you can talk to a family member, there is nothing wrong with counselling. And I know a lot of people find it really, really uncomfortable talking to a random stranger about your life, but I actually find it's way better than family. One, they're not as judgmental at all. They shouldn't be. Number 2, it can be quite validating if you're not having that judgment. If you are allowed to just express your feelings, express how you're feeling, and have somebody, even if they don't agree, because they shouldn't, acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you feel that way and go, it's either it's normal for you to feel that way, or it's like, you can talk to me. It's allowed. You're in a safe space that you're allowed to talk to me about. That being said, if you struggle with talking out loud with somebody, there are plenty of other things you can do. There are text services for if you're in a crisis. There's an online CBT course, which I will link below. There will be quite a few links in the description of different places you can get help. So yeah, if this is the point when you're like, oh, I might go and have a look, check out the description. Because the final thing that I find helpful is diet. Now, I am not a size 10. I am not like uber healthy and I have spinach and kale smoothies every day. I don't. I like cake and I like chocolate and I like those things, but unfortunately they don't like me, and specifically they don't like my brain. And I find that when I have a significant amount of chocolate or sugar or caffeine or anything like that, or I don't have healthy things in my diet, my anxiety is at its worst. Because my body doesn't feel 100%, so it can't cope with the things that I'm putting it through, the stresses I'm putting it through. It means that if I've had a lot of caffeine in the day, I don't sleep very well, and then because I'm not sleeping very well, I'm opening up this window for my brain to run rampant around, and by limiting that, I avoid it. It's I realise I make it sound incredibly easy. It's not. I still fall off the bandwagon. In fact, I did yesterday. It's just been Christmas, so there's been so much chocolate and sweets and cakes and stuff. But the result of that was me up until 2 o'clock last night, biting my nails down to the point where they're painful, and not getting any sleep. So it's not what I want. And from there, I'm like, okay, I need to really look at my diet and look at what I've eaten the last couple of days. I not eat them for a couple of days just to get myself back on that even keel. And yes, if I get to that point where I feel I can have a little bit, then great, I will. This isn't about losing weight or anything like that. It's about looking after my brain and making sure it has the right foods. So if I'm getting rid of the sugar and the rubbish and the processed stuff, I need to put something else in, and that's generally fruit and veg. I'm not a fan. I don't particularly like vegetables. I'm quite fussy with which ones I do like, although I am getting better, so that's nice. It's mainly fruit, actually. I'm not a fruit person, especially not in winter. It's really hard to want to go and get an orange or an apple when you're freezing cold and you just want warm cake and custard. Okay, we all know it. It's yeah. This isn't California where it's hot all the time or whatever. Is it California that's hot all the time? I don't know. This isn't a country where it's hot all the time. It's not. It's bloody cold. We don't have any heating in this flat. It's always cold. And quite frankly, an orange does not sound appealing right now, but appealing? Anyway, that is it. I'm sorry. I'm so tired, as you know. That is it, really. Those are my 5 main coping mechanisms for dealing with anxiety when it's at its worst. I mean, as I said, a healthy amount of stress and anxiety, that is fine. It is what allows you to move forward and get things done. If you weren't worrying about things or getting stressed about them, then where's the motivation to do them, really, especially if they're things that you don't want to do. So this, it doesn't rule out it totally, but it makes it a little bit more manageable. It allows me to put it in a box and just process it instead of letting it take over my life, which it has in the past, and that is not a helpful place to be in life, especially not when you have plans that you want to get done. So yeah, that is it, really. I might do a few more videos to kind of talking about anxiety and depression and mental health and coping mechanisms. I might not. I'll see how kind of well people respond to this, because it's such a difficult subject and there is a massive taboo and stigma is so rife, and it doesn't need to be, because I think a lot more people suffer with things like this than everybody realizes, and I think we should all just be a bit more open about them. So yeah, that is my thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time.